Welcome. This is your 35 minute glow stretch flow. This class is called a flow, but it's really not going to have many vinyasas whatsoever. We are just going to get an entire full body stretch, targeting a little more into our shoulders, our chest, our thoracic spine, also getting into our lower body, our hamstrings, and our hips today. So make sure you save this class and come back to it whenever you need a really good release. And we'll start seated today in class. So you can either sit like me up on your shins nice and tall, or if you want to sit crisscross applesauce by crossing the legs, you can sitting on the glutes. Wherever you land today, feel the shoulder blades melt down. That low rib is knitting together so the navel's still into the spine. So you're a little bit active here as the crown of the head reaches to the ceiling. Feel free to bring your palms down to the thighs for a little bit of grounding. You can even place the palms up for receiving, or my personal fave is bringing one hand to the navel, one hand to the heart. And just connecting with my breath, the blood, the energy circulating through the body. Letting our breath be a beautiful release for both the body and the mind today. Closing our eyes. We'll start with 3 big Buddha belly breaths together. So big inhale, feel the lungs expand. On the exhale, open mouth sigh. Feel everything contract. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale out the mouth. 1 more. Inhale in. Open mouth sigh. Exhale out. Activating that yogic ujjayi breathing in through the nose. Take that exhale out the nose. A little constriction in the back of the throat. 2 more like that. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more. Inhale in. And exhale out. Gently blink open your eyes. Bringing your palms onto the thighs if you have them on the torso. And we'll just get into our cervical spine, our neck, and our shoulders a little bit with some head rotation. So we'll start by shaking the head, yes, looking up and down. Up and down. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Coming back to neutral and then looking right and left. Right and left. 1 more. Right and left. Come back to neutral. Tilt the head. Right ear to right shoulder. Center. Left ear, left shoulder. Center. Right. Center. Left. Center. Last time. Right. Center. Left. Center. Taking a head roll, heel drop the right shoulder, or the right ear to the right shoulder. Tuck the chin in the chest, rolling over the left and back, right to left. This time, once the chin tucks into the chest, take it to the opposite side, so rolling in the opposite direction, left to right. Last rotation. Once the chin meets the chest, just roll the head back to neutral. Crossing over the legs if you're crisscross applesauce, coming up onto the shins. Meet me in tabletop, setting up for a couple rounds of cat and cow. So stacking the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Firmly pressing into the palms, pressing into the tops of the feet. When you are ready to move on the inhale, expand the chest. Let the gaze go up for the cow. Exhale, push the mat away as you round into the spine for cat. Taking a few more rounds of the cat-cow, your breath per movement. Big inhales in. Some deep exhales out. Knowing that you can layer anything on here that feels good for you. So for me today, I'm feeling really tense right behind the shoulders. So I'm going to pause here in this cat and just kind of rock my weight forward and back. Listen to the body. Use the breath, send it where it needs to go. 2 more rounds of that cat-cow. Coming back to neutral spine tabletop. Rotate your right fingertips to face the right side of the mat. Left fingertips face the left side of the mat and just rock gently side to side, warming up those wrists. And then if you have the mobility in the wrists, you can rotate the left palm, left fingertips, right palm, right fingertips to face the knees. And this time maybe rock forward and back. Ever so gently, just come back to neutral. Rotate your palms so the fingertips face the top of the mat. Setting up for a threaded needle, use the inhale to reach that right arm to the ceiling. Take 2 wrist circles in one direction and 2 wrist circles in the other direction. On your next exhale, drop that right shoulder as the right arm comes underneath the left. Your right cheek will hit the floor. Maybe your left arm wants to extend towards the top of the mat. Maybe you want to wrap it behind the low back. Make sure you're really pressing into the tops of the feet, keeping the hips stacked over the knees. And breathe. Last round of breath. Planting that left palm back in front of the face if it moved away. Using the inhale to unthread that right arm, it reaches back up to the ceiling. Exhale, meet me back in tabletop. Taking that right to the other side. So inhale, left arm extends to the ceiling. On the exhale, thread the needle. Dropping the left shoulder to the earth, letting your gaze fall over to the right. And then maybe the right arm wants to extend. Maybe it wants to take a bind. Wrapping it behind the low back, really pressing into the tops of the feet, feeling the hips stack over the knees. Big breaths in. Long breaths out. Nice, last round of breath. Bringing that right palm back in front of the face. Use an inhale to unthread that left arm. It reaches to the ceiling. Exhale, meet me back in tabletop. Once you've landed in tabletop, walk your palms one handstand forward, curl the toes. Use the low belly to send the hips all the way up and back for a downward facing dog. Once you've landed in this downward facing dog, rise up to the tiptoes on an inhale. Drop that right heel, take a big bend to that left knee. Get a nice calf stretch. On your next inhale, rise up to both tiptoes. Exhale, bend into the right knee as you anchor the left heel to the earth. On the inhale, rise up to both tiptoes. Exhale, anchor both heels to the floor, feeling that spine elongate. Come back to the breath. Big inhales in. Some nice long exhales out. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more big inhale in. Deep exhale out. Rising up to the tiptoes on an inhale. Big bend to the knees. Look forward. Tippy toe the feet to meet the hands, coming into that ragdoll pose. Feet will be about inner hips width apart, so that's 2 knuckles width in space. Your opposite hand can find opposite elbow crease. Maybe let the knuckles hang heavy towards the earth. Crown of the head is super, super heavy here. So what's most important is where your weight is in space in this moment. Feeling it pouring towards the balls of the feet, almost like this tailbone is trying to reach a sandbag to the ceiling. And then the torso is super, super heavy. Shake the head, yes. Shake the head, no. Release any tension from the low back. Maybe sway side to side. If you have a bind, just gently release your hands to the earth and toe ball heel your feet together. On your inhale, palms will glide up to your shins, flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hinge for the forward fold. Take one more like that. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, folds. Take a little bend to the knees this time. Rolling up one vertebra at a time. Coming to stand for mountain. Letting the shoulder blades melt up to the ears once you arrive standing. Letting them melt down the back on that exhale out. On that next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Taking a clasp of the fingertips, float your palms up to the ceiling. Take another inhale to lengthen up that rib cage. On the exhale, tilt your torso over to the left. Plugging all of your weight into the outer edge of that right foot. On that next inhale, float the ribs back up to center. Exhale, tilt over to the right. All of your weight anchors into the left outer edge of that left foot. Use an inhale to float the ribs back to center. On the exhale, gently release that bind. Float your arms behind your back. Taking a bind of the palms, or if you need a little hand towel, feel free to grab a little hand towel. Use the inhale to shrug the shoulder blades down and melt them off the spine. Big, big bend to both knees. Use the next inhale to lift open the chest towards the ceiling. Keep your knees bent. On the exhale, forward fold with a bind. Option once you arrive to keep both knees bent, or to add a little activation for those hamstrings, press into the inner thigh bones to straighten into the legs. Making sure the crown of the head stays heavy, your shoulder blades are trying to kiss. Take an inhale in. On that exhale, take a big bend to this right knee, straighten into the left leg, twist the torso over to the left side of the room so your right shoulder and your right knee try to kiss. So keep the weight pouring towards the balls of the feet. Use that next inhale, straighten into the right leg, neutralize the torso. Exhale, bend into that left knee, twist over to the right. Try to kiss the left shoulder and left knee to each other. On that next inhale, neutralize, come back to center. Use the exhale to gently release your palms to the earth. Coming into another flat back. Inhale, Ardha, lengthen the spine. On your exhale, plant your palms. Step this left leg back to a low runner's lunge. Once you're in a nice low runner's lunge, I want you to walk the right foot nice and wide. So it's to the outer edge of your mat, and then plant both palms to the inside of this foot. Feeling the right hip scrubbing back, left toe ball mount, left hip scrubbing forward. Always know you can bring your palms to blocks to bring a little lift of the floor to you. And then once you're here in this lizard, I just want you to kind of rock back and forth. Massaging that right ball and socket joint of the hip. Getting a little activation in this left quad, left hip flexor. Nice, last round of breath. Just come back to neutral. Scoot the left toes back a smidge so you can drop that left knee without being too crunchy on the joint and unhook the foot. Option to take a twist here. Left palm will come a little bit more center. Maybe open up that right foot as you press the right palm into the top of the right thigh and take a twist. You can even come to the knife edge side of this right foot. Let a nice big opening come into that right hip as you twist and rinse out the spine. If you really like to take a bind with this left foot and the right palm, you can get into the quad and reach back for the top of the foot with that left palm. If you get the bind, really kick the foot into the palm. Let that right shoulder blade melt down. Two more breaths. Last round of breath. Slowly and gently release the bind if you have it. Untwist, bring that right palm back to the floor. Toe ball heel this right foot so it comes back to the middle of your mat. Once you've landed in this low runner's lunge, I just want you to push this right knee forward a little bit, getting back into this left quad, left hip flexor. One more round of breath. On that inhale, just neutralize that right shin. So restack the knee over the ankle. Plant both palms to frame this front right foot. Taking a nice hamstring stretch. On that exhale, walk your palms or take your blocks back towards the hips as you straighten into this right leg. Nice little gentle micro bend to the knee. Flex into that right foot. Thinking almost like you have a cow back in the spine, a little arch as your heart tries to melt towards that right shin. Feeling the right heel, right hip scrubbing back, left knee, left hip scrubbing forward. And just breathe. Last round of breath. From here, we'll take a nice little flow. So on your inhale, rock the weight forward, come back to low runner's lunge. On the exhale, hips move back, straighten into the leg. Inhale to rock forward. Exhale, rock back. Last time, inhale forward. Exhale, rock back. Meeting me back in that low runner's lunge. Planting both palms to frame that front right foot. Lift, curl into the left toes to lift that left knee up off the floor. From here, on that exhale, re-straighten into this right leg. Come up really high to the left toe ball mount of that left foot. Nice wide pyramid. Feel that right hip moving up and back. Left hip rolls down and forward. Nice flat back. Maybe bring that right palm to your low back, your sacrum. Keeping that nice cow back in the spine. Heart threading towards that right shin. Maybe flex into the right foot. If you really want to deepen this stretch, stay high on the ball of the left toes. Bend into that left knee. Just deepening our hamstring stretch. Last round of breath. Meeting me back in low runner's lunge on an inhale. Plant your palms, look forward. Just step forward to the top of the mat. Flat back, inhale, Ardha. Forward fold on the exhale out. Inhale, root to rise, reverse swan dive. Arms sweep up overhead as you extend that mountain. On the exhale, float your palms behind the back. Take your bind. Shoulder blades melt down and back on an inhale. Bend into the knees. Lift, open the chest. Keep the knees bent as you forward fold on that exhale out. Use the inhale to maybe kick into the inner thigh bones to straighten the legs. One more round of breath. On that next exhale, slowly release your hands to the floor. Flat back, Ardha, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, plant your palms. Step this right leg back to low runner's lunge. Once you've landed in that low lunge, walk that left foot so it's nice and wide. Both palms come to the inside of this left foot, lizard lunge. Once you've landed in that lizard, just begin that nice rock forward and back. Last rock forward and back. Coming to neutral, so stacking the left knee over the ankle, scoot the right toes back any amount you need to comfortably drop this left knee to the floor and unhook the foot. And then taking that twist from here, if you want to come with me, bring the right palm a little more center. Left palm to the top of that left thigh, using an exhale to twist over to the left side of the room. Maybe this left foot turns out. Maybe you roll open to the knife edge side of the foot. Option on this side to also take that bind. Reach back with the left palm to catch the top of the right foot. If you take that bind, kick that left foot into the right foot into the left palm, melt that left shoulder blade down and back. Last round of breath. If you have the bind, slowly, gently release it. Meet me back in lizard lunge. Both palms come to the inside of that left foot. And then just toe ball heel this left foot to the middle of your mat. And just press this left knee a little far over the left toes. One last deep stretch here for the right quad, right hip flexor. Letting your breath be this beautiful release. Almost like little love notes to the body. Last round of breath. Planting that left palm to the outer edge of the left foot, making sure the left foot is just to the middle of your mat. And then on that exhale, meeting me in that hamstring stretch as you walk your palms, maybe take your blocks if you have them, towards the hips as you straighten into that left leg, flex into the left foot. Little hinge forward, feeling like a cat back or a cow back in that spine, heart threading towards that left shin. Left heel and hip scrubbing back, right knee and hip scrubbing forward. From here, taking that flow on the inhale, rock forward, low lunge. Exhale, take the stretch. Inhale to rock forward. Exhale, stretch. Nice, one more time, inhale. And exhale. Meeting me back in that low runner's lunge. Planting your palms to the floor to frame this front left foot. Curl the right toes, lift the right knee. On that exhale, straighten into the left leg one more time, coming super high to the toe ball mount of that right foot. Left hip moves up and back. I always have to do an adjustment on this side. Right hip down and forward. Maybe flexing into the left foot, get into that left calf. Feeling the heart thread towards the shin. If you really want to deepen that stretch, bend into that right knee. Stay really high onto the right toes. Last round of breath. On that next inhale, rebend the left knee, meet me in a low runner's lunge. Look forward and step forward. Flat back, Ardha Uttanasana, inhale. Forward fold on the exhale. Root to rise, reverse swan dive. Arms sweep up overhead, extend the mountain. Forward fold on the exhale out. Flat back, inhale. On your exhale, plant your palms. Make your way back to a plank pose. Once you've landed in plank, rock the weight forward on an inhale. Option to tap the knees, leave them lifted. Slowly lower everything to the earth. Once the chin, neck, and chest arrive to the floor, unhook the feet. Pressing into the tops of those feet. Palms scrub back. Inhale, your chin, neck, and chest will rise for cobra. Shoulder blades melt down and back. Triceps squeezing towards your torso. One more inhale. Exhale, everything lowers to the floor. Take one more cobra like that. Inhale, chin, neck, and chest rise. Exhale, everything melts to the floor. This time, walk your palms out nice and wide. Coming onto tented fingertips, let your elbows reach up towards the ceiling. Lift up one more time for cobra on an inhale. This time on the exhale, drop that right shoulder towards the mat. Gaze over to the left. Nice. Inhale, come back up to center. Wide cobra. Exhale, drop this left shoulder. Look over to the right. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, everything melts to the floor. Bring the palms back under the shoulders. Use an inhale to push up through tabletop. And then just stack those knees so they're underneath the hips. Walk your palms forward, coming into a puppy dog pose. So the hips stay nice and high, unlike child's pose. And then drop that forehead to the earth, really pressing into the tops of the feet. I prefer to come onto tented fingertips in here just to really get into that back of my thoracic spine. Big breaths in. Some long breaths out. Last round of breath. Walking your palms about 2 hand stamps back. So you can curl the toes and meet me in downward facing dog. Setting up for our deepest hip opener pigeon. Bring the toes together, float that right leg up to the ceiling on the inhale. Rise up to the left tiptoes. On the exhale, drive that right knee right behind the right wrist. So you can drop the shin to the floor and scoot your hips back. If this variation of a pigeon doesn't feel good for you, you can always take another lizard, right? This is your choice. Or take that supine pigeon on your back. Once you've landed, feel the hips moving to square. And then on the exhale, hinge forward. If you're on your spine, your right ankle will cross over that left thigh. Maybe you leave the foot on the floor and press that knee forward. Or you can thread the needle. If you're on your right shin here, hinge as far forward as feels best for you. I prefer to stay up on my forearms. Gives me a little extra push into the hips. And then just breathe. Our hips are some of the tightest spaces in our body. It's where we hold a lot of physical and emotional stress. And so when we're sitting in these nice elongated hip openers, it's really important to breathe, being mindful of sending the breath to the spaces it needs to go. Three more rounds of breath. If you were hinged forward like I am, come back onto your palms. If you were on your spine, leave your legs exactly where they are and just let your legs fall over to the left side of the room, taking a supine twist with a figure 4. If you're upright with me, come sit on this right hip. If you had a block under the hip, just move it out of the way. And then take this left leg. You're just going to swing it all the way far forward to the top of the mat. Sitting on your sit bone, snuggle this the right ankle to the outer edge of this left hip, and then the left leg's going to come all the way over that right leg, left ankle over that right thigh. If this doesn't feel good on your hips, you can sit on a block. You can always also just straighten this right leg out in front of you. Setting up here for a nice twist with a hip opener. On an inhale, the right arm reaches to the ceiling. Exhale, twist over to the left. Your right elbow comes to the outer edge of that left knee or thigh, left palm right behind the low back. Maybe your gaze follows over that left shoulder. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Two more breaths. Slowly, if you're seated in this twist, come back to center on the inhale. If you're on your back, just bring your legs back to center and then switch that out for the other side. My yogi sitting with me, you're going to wrap this left leg all the way back behind you again. Plant your palms to the mat, curl the left toes, send the right leg back. Maybe give it a nice shimmy shake. And then meet me back in downward facing dog, taking it right to the other side. Left toes will float up to the ceiling on the inhale, rise up to the right tiptoes. On the exhale, left knee comes right behind the left wrist. Dropping the shin, sinking back in the hips. If you're taking the supine figure 4 on your back, your left ankle comes over that right thigh. Option to thread the needle or leave the foot on the floor. My yogi seated with me, feel free to hinge forward when you feel like your hips are square or even to the degree that feels good for you in this moment. 2 more rounds of breath. My yogis, on your spine, if you took a supine figure 4, just let your knees fall over to the right side of the room. The left arm will extend for that supine twist. If you're coming with me, walk your palms up so they're underneath the shoulders. Remove any blocks that might be underneath that left hip. Sit up on that left glute. Take your right leg, rotate it towards the top of the mat so you can cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and then snuggle that left ankle close to that right thigh. Sitting up nice and tall, that right hip, sitting up nice and tall. On an inhale, the left arm extends to the ceiling. On the exhale, twist to the right. Left elbow comes to the outer edge of that right knee or thigh, right palm behind the low back. Maybe your gaze falls over that right shoulder. Last round of breath. On that inhale, slowly come back to center, wherever you are. If you're seated like me, take the right leg, wrap it back behind you, so you can plant the palms to the mat, curl into the right toes, extend that left leg back up to the ceiling, meeting me in downward facing dog. If you've arrived in down dog, take a quick child's pose, drop the knees, toes together, send the hips back. If you're on your spine, just hug your knees into the chest, give yourself a nice big squeeze, and rock and roll so you can meet me seated. We'll meet you in just a moment. In this child's pose, maybe rock the forehead side to side. Just massaging that third eye, releasing any tension from the face, from the jaw. And at your own speed, just meet me seated, however feels best for you, with your legs out in front of you. Sitting up nice and tall, flex into the feet, move any fleshy parts from out underneath the sit bones. Use an inhale to reach your arms up to the ceiling, and then nice forward fold, little micro bend to the knees as you hinge at the hips, keeping that nice cow back in the spine. Heart threading towards the shins so you keep a nice flat back. Two more breaths. Last round of breath. Slowly rolling up one vertebra at a time to a nice neutral spine. Scoot yourself forward and meet me on your back. Setting up for one back choice today. Planting the feet into the floor. I just have to move my microphone clip out of the way. Bending into the knees, making sure that the ankles are stacked right over those knees. And then pressing into the palms, anchoring into the heels. On your inhale, lift the vertebra nice and slowly up off the mat, coming into the bridge. If you want to make this a little bit more active, you can shrug the shoulder blades up underneath you and take a bind of the hands underneath your tailbone on the mat below. Last round of breath. On the exhale, if you have that bind, gently release it, slowly rolling down one vertebra at a time. Hugging the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice, big, yummy, juicy hug. And then setting up for happy baby. So flexing into the feet, catching either the inside or the outside of the feet with the palms. Feet come towards the ceiling. Your knees come towards your armpits. Anchor the tailbone to the earth. Option to just stay here. Maybe take a laughing baby and rock side to side in that low back. If you were rocking, just come to stillness. Close the feet. Close the knees. Roll yourself into a tiny ball. Take a big inhale in. Your forehead tries to come to the knees. On your exhale, take your Shavasana. Any shape you want to come to here. So traditional with the legs down long, arms down by your side. You can take a Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. Let your knees come out wide, one hand to the navel, one hand to the heart. If you want something more supported, maybe you bend into those knees. Place the feet on the outer edge of the mat and just kind of knock your knees together. Come back to your breath. As you lie here for these last few moments of rest, do a quick internal and external scan of the body, seeing how you're feeling both physically, mentally, and emotionally in this moment. Feeling this beautiful release of tension, almost like your flesh and bone have melted off and onto the mat and to the earth below. You are both weightless and weighted all at the exact same time. Adding movement here when you're ready to move and awaken. If you're in a Supta Baddha Konasana, you can close the knees like you're closing your very favorite book. Extending the legs down long. Reach your arms back behind you, taking a nice full body stretch like it's the very first time you're waking up today. Maybe hugging the knees back into the chest for a rock and a roll, or rolling over to one side of the mat, landing in a fetal position. Taking one final moment to pause, one beautiful round of breath. Big inhale in. Deep open mouth, sigh, exhale out. Finding your way seated when you're ready. Nice and slow. At the top of your mat, with your eyes closed and your hands at heart center. Feeling this beautiful release in this moment of all of the tension and the stress that you have held onto. Knowing that your breath and this movement opened up every pathway you needed it to in the body. Feeling in this practice with a beautiful round of breath, long, deep inhale in. And your deepest open mouth sigh, exhale out. Letting your hands flow up to third eye center, that space just in between the brow. All of the light within me bows and honors all of that beautiful light and glow within each and every single one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me on your mat for this beautiful glow stretch flow. I hope you feel free to come back to and save this for whenever you need a good stretch and release. If you want to take more classes with me, you can find them over on my IGTV Yoga Glow series, or you can find me in Studio Yoga Glow at ashleyallardyoga.com, where you can take class with me on demand anywhere, anytime. Thank you again so much. It was my pleasure to flow with all of you today. Namaste.